5 Crates Motel snacks to help you mix better and faster. Hi, welcome to the Crates Motel. My name's Conan, and in today's video I'm going to show you 5 tips to help you mix faster and better. So here we are in Studio One. I have a drum beat here which I'm working on for a track called Drum Speak. Now there's no processing on any of the individual channels. So tip number 1 is a trick called the Haas Effect. It's a little bit of a secret weapon for engineers. Basically what it does is it takes the left and right signal and delays them slightly, which fools the brain into thinking that the signal is spread out across the mix. So I've got 3 hi-hats here, just listen. At the moment all 3 hi-hats are just planted right down the centre of the mix. Now this Haas Effect plugin is free, so I'm going to put a link below so that you can download it. Let's just load it up here. It's called Quick Haas. Okay, I'm going to play them all together and then I'm going to apply the Haas Effect to hi-hat number 2, and if you just listen you'll just hear the hats just kind of spread out across the mix. So this is without, everything down the centre, and then here's the Haas Effect. So it's a very subtle effect, but what it does is it kind of just fills everything out and just makes everything sound a little bit fuller in the mix. So the Haas Effect is not just good on hi-hats, it's also good on things like claps. So let's just drag it onto the clap here. And you can hear it kind of gives that sound where there's a group of people stood around a microphone clapping. And there you go, very, very easy. Tip number 1, the Haas Effect. I'll include a link to the free plugin below. So tip number 2 is Autopan. Now it's nothing new, we've all heard of Autopan, but it's a technique that I use on percussion just to create some movement in the mix. So a plugin I often use for Autopan is by Melder Productions called Autopan. There we go. And I'll just enable it. And I'll have it set to quarter notes. So it'll basically send the shakers across the mix left to right. You can just hear it bouncing backwards and forwards. And it just creates a bit of movement in the mix. It's very subtle again, same as the Haas Effect. Now if I take it out, see, the shaker will just sit right down the middle. But I love the Autopan, it just creates this movement. And in. And that's tip number 2, Autopan. Tip number 3 breaks the rules a little bit. Now, as we know, bass should generally be right down the middle of the mix. But what I like to do is I like to add a little bit of chorus to the bass, and it kind of gives the bass a bit of depth and a bit of width in the mix, but you still have the bass right down the centre where you need it. So what I'll do is I'll add an effects channel, and on the effects channel I'll add a chorus. I use Studio D from UAD. Okay, now I'm just going to bring that in subtly, and what you'll hear is the bass will just open up in the mix. Let's take it out. Back in. And you can hear it basically just opens the bass right up, but you still have the bass right down the middle where you need it as well. Now tip number 4 is layering kicks. Now this is a technique that's used in multiple genres, but especially in house music, where you'll layer 2 or 3 kicks over the top of each other and EQ and compress them slightly differently to create one large kick. So here we have 2 kick drums. Kick 1 and kick 2. So with kick 1, this is going to take care of the lighter duties. So you can see how I've EQ'd this. Now the fundamentals ran about 80 Hertz. And I've dipped up some of the boxiness at 180. And then I've added a little bit of high end up here for the click. And some high end here. And then you can hear with kick number 2, that's a lot more weighty and has got a lot more girth, and this will take care of the low end. So you can see the fundamental here is right down at 49. And again, I've taken out some of the boxiness at 170. And then I don't need any high on this at all, because that's taken care of on the other kick. So both the kicks together. And then what I would do is I would then compress them together on the kick bus, just to kind of glue them together in the mix. For something like that, I'd use a distressor, but there's multiple compressors that you can use in this situation. It's just the compressor that I like to use. And without. And for me, it just glues them together as one kick. And finally, tip number 5 is using Transient Design to change the attack and sustain of your drum sounds. Really, really simple trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard 909 drum beat, which kind of sounds kind of Detroit techno. And I'm going to make it sound kind of like a bumpy garage track, just by changing the attack and sustain. Starting with the kick. Bit of attack, less sustain. Same with the clap. And same with the hi-hat. So this is in bypass. And then the effect in. Bypass. And effect. So you see, by just doing that, you can completely change the way your drums sound. Really, really simple trick. So there you have it. 5 simple tips and tricks to help you mix faster and better. That was really difficult to say. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more mixing and mastering tutorials and reviews. This is the Crates Motel. My name's Conan. Until next time.